So
Okay.
my appeal is to do your best to become the first millionaires by the hours of life.
Welcome to Clicks and Bricks Podcast. We talk about the entrepreneur mindset, everything from that Main Street brick and mortar to that billion-dollar manufacturer. Be sure to head over to clicksandbricksacademy.com so you can access all the resources to start improving your sales today.
Today's episode is going to be pretty wild. We have Oleg from Longevity inTime Biotech. This guy has created a company, its own blockchain, along with all kinds of new innovative. And his goal on this business is to help people live longer. How you doing, Oleg?
Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you for inviting.
Thank you for joining us on the show. And the audience doesn't know this, but we've had several attempts at doing this, but I had a whole bunch of technical issues that we didn't get to have this interview. So I very much thank you for your time and your patience in having this conversation. Super excited to have it. Can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what is Longevity inTime?
Yeah, I'm in business for 29 years already. I had major experience in advertising field, in mobile advertising, in traditional media like radio stations, TV, etc. Then I was co-producing movies. One of my biggest was co-producing movie Chef with Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson in 2014. Then I made a small cinema chain network in Russia, about 35 cinemas across the cities where no cinemas. And in 2018, I realized that there's nothing could be more important than longer life. So I exited all my businesses and I invested all my money into the company which I founded called Longevity inTime. Actually, the name of the company speaks about what we're doing, and try to defeat the perfect serial killer which kills today like 115,000 people, and actually every day. And actually, the reasons why people die is because of the diseases, not because of the age. So until now, about 110 billion people died, and for the whole time of Earth's existence, and only one person lived until 122 years. That was Miss Clement in France. And we think that we can fight this problem and we can make average life expectancy to be more than 80 years at least. So I founded a company which tracks on early stages top 20 severe diseases. We're tracking about 400 parameters, and we try to track them on the monthly basis. And with AI-powered technology, we give personalized risk assumptions and personalized risk recommendations how to avoid these risks. So people can catch the wrong direction of their life on preclinical stage. So we will not bargain by the years of life if some cancer could be found on the second or third stage, but we can live up to 80, 90 years happily if we track cancer on the preclinical stage, like a few years before even it would be diagnosed by the traditional methods.
Fantastic. So you're taking all the new wearable technology that's out, interfacing with that, plus some blood work. Are you also interfacing with like the DNA from Ancestry and 23andMe? Can they upload that data to you as well?
Well, the product consists with the existing wearables like Apple Watch, Garmin. The blood samples would be a big plus because wearables can track up to 20, 25 parameters today, and most of them are mainly input. So you cannot measure today your wrist, your neck size, your waist. You need to use a centimeter for that. Only maybe blood saturation or your blood pressure could be used by the gadgets. So, but to collect 400 parameters, of course, you need the blood samples, and in the best way to use all 6 kinds of biomaterial. That means blood, urine, feces, nails, hair, skin, because different biomaterials they have the control values of some parameters which could not be indicated in the blood or in other biomaterials. So you need to collect all that information.
Right.
The third is our proprietary AI server, which calculates gathered data. And we are patent pending the method of recalculating due to changes of these vital parameters during your lifetime. For example, your blood pressure was one like 1 week ago and another one in a week past. So we need to recalculate the risks assessments and personalized recommendations depending on the changes of the parameters. So this part of the technology is patent pending. And the mobile application, which in a user-friendly way shows you what to do, without even consulting with a doctor. But of course, we recommend to consult with a doctor, and it's not a medical device yet.
Right.
So there's no any kind of recommendations at this moment. So you always need to consult with your doctor. But still, the mobile application can give you very easy to understand what's to do with the data. Because today, if you use HealthKit or Google Fit, you have only your information in your statical way, like what's your blood pressure, how many steps in a day you made, and so on. But you don't know what's it's personalized for you and how it affects you. So we collect from the big data of medical public databases, and we give you personalized risk recommendations based on scientific literature, which was proven on 4 stages of clinical trials. So this is a completely scientifically evidence-proved technology.
Fantastic. So a couple of things that you said out there, and for the entrepreneurs and the inventors out there in the world, I want you guys to pay specific attention here. Right? What Oleg's talking about right now is they're taking 400 parameters from wearables and blood work. If you consider right now, I have a couple boys on my team that have these diabetes sensors that are checking their blood pretty regularly, right? Those kinds of sensors could check your blood and send data off, right? Right now, they're just very specific for diabetes, but long term, those kinds of things are in there. And sensor technology is going to be huge in the future. We're going to have to, I definitely see a future where our toilet seats have sensors in them, collecting our samples and sending them to our smart devices and giving you all the parameters there. So you could literally have a health screening check every single day, right? Doing a full blood sample, urine sample, everything that you need. And then all that data with Oleg's tech could be, giving you very early indicators of, fatal diseases like pancreatitis, which is a big killer. And if you catch it early, you can manage it. But if you don't, it's a death sentence, right?
Yeah, the smart toilets is a good thing. There's a Chinese company called iCarbonix in 2017. Their CEO John Wang made a big presentation of something called like digitizing me and etc. We basically looked at what they were planning to do, and they were saying that flashing away in a toilet so much biomaterial is a huge waste. And we went further because exhaling air, your behavioral, your environmental surroundings, all this is a data, and we call it parameters. Even you smoke or you drink, it's also a parameter which can affect the diabetes as well as heart attack, cancers, strokes, and etc. Right? So we're trying to collect all this data, and the most important thing is to collect it in dynamics. During your lifetime, these parameters can change, and we need to track them. Not like once a year, usually you do with your insurance visiting to the doctors, and some of them maybe don't come to the doctors ever, or it comes once per 2 years. It's a dramatically bad move. Because this is the reason why Steve Jobs died in 56 and mother of Bill Gates in 65 and Paul Allen, partner of Bill Gates, in 64, because they were going not so frequently to the doctors. And when they went to the doctors, the screening amount of parameters were extremely low, about 20 parameters. And how the old insurance companies or traditional doctors, physicians, they work in the world. They ask you for these 20 plus minus parameters, blood test, and if they find some kind of indicators in these values which are subnormal, then they go deeper. But there are dozens of diseases and severe diseases which cannot be tracked by these 20 vital parameters. So that's why we gathered 400, and it should be more. You asked about genetics. Of course, it should be including genetics. And the genetics, we believe, can be changed due to the influence of the environment, on radiation, and so on. So this should be tracked as frequent as possible. Today, there are lots of anti-aging research going on, and they are only on mice, on some kind of worms and zebrafish and so on, and none of them yet on the humans. So when the fundamental scientists will discover this anti-aging pill, it will take decades. So the only longevity recipe today is to track yourself as frequent as you can by as many parameters your wallet can afford. And we're analyzing this information to give you not just statistical information like what's the values, but what's in your personal profile, how it can affect your own longevity. Because for you living in US, for me living, for example, in Russia, or for someone living in China, the same values could be absolutely different depending on, like I said, again, behavioral, environmental conditions.
Right.
And we need to give you personalized, very easy to understand risk assessments and recommendations. And they all should be evidence-based.
Right. So important. And, you know, a lot of the folks that watch the show know I almost lost my life about 6 years ago due to not taking care of myself. And I do my blood work now every 3 months. I would do it more if I could afford it. And I spend quite a bit of money, but I have a liver issue. So we need to make sure that those liver enzymes are at the right level for me, or I can get in a lot of trouble really fast. So it is important stuff. And yeah, I wish I had a better way than to go to the doctor and do the results and have this test, right? Because I think that whole process can be automated away pretty reasonably, right? But the bureaucracy of getting these things patented and getting them through the hoppers is taking a long time. So I love the tech that you're working on and the goal to increase humankind, right? I think that's going to be important because humans are just producing less people today, right? The birth rates are down. We're not creating as many people as we used to per family 100 years ago, right? But moving on to the business side, you had to, I mean, this is a big goal, right? And you cashed in a lot of your money to do this goal, but you needed a big team. And you were able to hire 45 team members for equity, right? So can you tell us a little bit about the process and the mindset behind bringing in these partners for equity? And I've got a very specific question for you after you give us a little bit about, you know, some of the trials and tribulations you had during that, because that's a pretty big task.
Well, a little bit before what was happening. Like I said, I started this company in 2018, and I started mostly alone. There were some medical specialists who were giving me great advices, and scientists, including the Harvard professors, the leading longevity scientists in Russia, and so on. And I was researching what should be the best product. And analyzing that, like I said before, that the anti-aging and longevity fundamentals science is doing a great job, but on the mice and other animals, not yet on the humans. And to make it on the humans, it will take decades. That's the reason, by the way, why we're in development of AI simulations of clinical trials to speed up this process, which could take not decades, but dozens of weeks, which is like 10, 100 times quicker. And we will see whether it's going to be possible to execute. So we analyzed that only tracking the parameters could be the best way, and using traditional today software development will involve the software developers of all kinds: backend, front end, mobile developers, the software architectures, data scientists, computer vision engineers, machine learning engineers, and so on. And until I was researching what product should be and doing some fundamental stuff from my end, I was approaching different individuals. And, you know, no matter that we are all humans, we don't really realize that we are mortal. And every day we go to the work and we earn some money doing some stuff not related to longevity. And by the end, all the money we earned, hopefully, we will spend on prolonging our life, fighting with the diseases and so on. And the trick thing is that our brain doesn't realize that we are mortal. And I'm sure that even you can, or me, or the dear audience, were having panic attacks, realizing that one day they will not wake up and they will be lying under the earth on 2 meters and dying. I mean, not dying, wasting. Yeah. So everybody is throwing these thoughts away. And that's the reason why when you were approaching the individuals and you were asking them, like, we're pre-revenue, we don't have investments yet, so jump in for equity and so on, everybody were looking at me like a crazy personality and saying that, well, I have better job right now, blah, blah, blah. And I was trying to appeal to them that one day the work they're doing today will not gain them extra years. Well, they were giving the counter argument saying that, okay, maybe not, but I can live better these few years because I have enough money to cover my bills and so on and so on. So I found some kind of key to that door, testing different arguments, how to defeat these counter arguments from these individuals. And in January 2020, I went to Finland one of the leading Helsinki Polytech institutes in Aalto University, and I was joining the accelerator. Well, they didn't taught me something new, but the atmosphere was there some kind of fantastic. This accelerator was called Sampo Accelerator, and it was in the doors of Startup Sauna, what was very famous a few years back. Accelerator, they had a real sauna room where you can pitch, and if you're aware that sauna, if it's very hot, you cannot stand there for a long time, so your pitch would be physically a few minutes because you will go sweat out of your body and you will jump out of there. So the atmosphere in this accelerator was great. So during my 21-day offline session there, I have hired more than 10 first individuals, and then it went off. You know, after people saw that there were individuals who started working with me on sweat for equity basis, covering all this back end, front end, machine learning, data science, mobile application development, and so on. The other teammates, they start jumping in. For the 1.5 year, I have hired more than 170 people for that. Well, juridically, it's called the membership interest shares buying. They buy and I sell, but they buy not with the money. They buy it with their services. And today we have a core team of 45 team members from 12 countries speaking 10 languages. There is, of course, the weak point that when the people come for equity, they should work at least one year to get their piece of shares. This is like vesting and cliffing terms of the contract, and not everybody can support that long period of working in the company. But for the company, it's a good advantage because they work and their fruits of their work stays in the company, and you don't pay anything if they quit before a year. And I have only a few team members who worked for a year and more, and definitely they're receiving these shares. And for the other ones who worked and they left for some kind of reason, of course I will, once we get revenue, we will, even it's a breach of their parts of the contract, we will definitely gonna pay them out because they made tremendous job for us. And it's not a matter of me looking for the weak points not to pay. It's for me to build a huge company like 200, 300 developers and to pay them all. The reason I choose this model is that I cannot pay like $1.5 million a year for the development of that size until we're pre-revenue. So this is basically the approach.
So you've done a couple of things, and I think every entrepreneur needs to understand that if they're going into business, they need to get creative sometimes to get the work done that they need to do. This is a don't make excuses, make it happen experiment that you've done, right? Now you've done a couple of things, and we talk a lot on the show when we're giving up equity for pieces of our business about vesting that and how important that is. But you brought up vesting and cliffing, right? So not only do they have to work there for that long to make it, if they don't, then there's a cliff. They don't get anything. Is that correct? So they're not even accruing it day over day. They have to make it that full year before they get anything, right? So I think that's another important piece to put in your contracts when you're giving up equity for your company, that one, you have your vesting period that if they do X, Y, and Z, then they get this many shares, but also make sure that you put in that contract that if they don't accomplish that, they get zero, right? That they don't get some kind of accumulated amount of shares that's the percentage difference for the month that they worked, right? So example, if you're going to give them 12 shares for 1 year of work, if you don't put that cliff in there, they could argue in court that they worked for 6 months that they still own 6% of the company, right? If you don't put that cliff in that contract. Again, anytime you're dealing with contract, talk to your lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving you legal advice other than talk to your lawyer when you're doing these contracts and giving up equity of your company for labor, right? And I think you're absolutely right. The project that you're on is going to take hundreds of millions of dollars to get over the finish line. If there is such thing as a finish line, I think this is always going to be adapting and growing. So finding a way to vest those shares and ownership in that company, I think is a brilliant way to get the labor done that you need done. You've also, go ahead.
And for startuppers, it's very important to understand that to have passive equity partners is not the best way. I mean, if they worked with you for 3 months and you didn't make your contract wisely, and you need to give them equity even after they leave you, this is not good baggage to carry.
I have 30 passive partners right now, and it's Some of them I wish I didn't have, but most of them I'm happy that they're sharing because they've put in a lot of work and energy. But some of them I wish I'm excited to buy them out at some point in my life.
Yeah, that's why in the contract we made an 18-month period where we can buy them out by the same valuation on which we sold them this equity, with about 10% bonus just for inflation issues. And also, please keep in mind that lots of developers, they are very good guys, but they don't read contracts. And you're trying to ask them to read contracts thoroughly, not to have any kind of misunderstanding in the future. And our contract is quite small. It's only five pages, but even these 5 pages with the one paragraph concerning the monetary issues, they're not reading it thoroughly. So
right. And the devil's in the details.
It's very important, because you don't want to have an angry developer in the middle of your process who is just going away. But in our case, since we are pro-revenue, of course we're a for-profit company, but we're trying to do something more than just to earn money. We want to earn money on the things which are gonna save our life. I mean, I was a quite successful producer. I made 6 movies. All of them grossed, the total amounts of money which they grossed $100 million. And this chef movie was nominated even in long list for Oscars for screenplay. But in the end, no matter where you work, if it's not related to science, life sciences, anti-aging and longevity, what you gonna do with all this money? Are you gonna wait until Calico from Google or other guys gonna make something which gonna prolong your life? I said I want to take this in control myself. So this is why I made this company, and I try to invest all my time in it, and to get the developers, like-minded people who understand that they're not working for this equity. They're working for some product which is going to prolong their life and the life of their loved ones in 10, 20 years period. Or if they would diagnose an early stage the cancer in next few weeks, they will get benefit of this product already now. Because right. No matter that they're young, not everybody is secured from getting cancer or a stroke tomorrow. You never know.
Right.
For example, our iOS developer, he had mini stroke, and he realized that the product he was developing was not in time for him, and he couldn't diagnose this mini stroke for himself. And some of the developers, they lost their family, loved ones during this period of time. And they realized how important what they do, because the death is all around us and we don't realize it until we touch it somehow.
Yeah, humans are phenomenal creatures of living in the past, right? We don't really live in the present, and a lot of people don't live in the future. So, really thinking about how your life is going to be in the future is a hard concept for a lot of people to get. And I know it's something that I work on very regularly, of visualizing my future, and until you work on it, you kind of just don't do it, right? So I think this is great work that you're doing.
And the life is fragile. It's a fragile.
Yes, you get to live every day, and you're only going to die once, so you want to prolong that as long as you possibly can. Right?
Absolutely.
So,
and by the way, there is a quite nice thing to insure yourself. I mean, it's not evidence proved yet. That's called cryonics. I mean, you can freeze yourself like Walt Disney. But some scientists, they say, when they had like counter arguments, like saying, what the hell, nobody knows how to defreeze the cells without breaking the structure and blah, blah, blah. And they say, okay, maybe nobody knows right now, but when you are buried under the ground, you're dead for sure. But when you're cryonized, I mean, you're frozen, you have at least 1% more chance to live longer once you will be defreezed than to be buried.
Right. We could get into a conversation on the body versus the consciousness for hours if we wanted to. But to move forward, you had to create a big team, right? And you did that with equity. Can you give us, what are the 3 key factors that you look for in a partner before you decide to bring them on?
Frankly, I never read the CVs. During my 29 years of business, I have hired more than 1,000 people, and maybe only 5 or 7 were worth of their money. So no matter what's in the CV, you never know, is it true or false, until you work with this person. And even until you work with this person on your precise project. So for me, the key parameters. First of all, I ask them all to make a free test, and this free test can take 1 hour or can take 1 week. That depends on the task the candidate is going to choose. So if he's willing to invest at least a few hours of his life prior of anything, what I promise him in return, that guaranteed offer on equity based, if he accomplished this test. So this would be the first parameter. Of course, there are some kind of highly skilled developers who are insulted by being offered a free test. So at this moment, I give up and I just send him an offer, because I don't want to lose a potentiality of making this product quicker just because of my own rules. So I forget about the rules, because my own mission is to make the product quicker, because I'm also human and I can die tomorrow, and I don't want that. So this is the biggest driver for me, to avoid all this long bureaucracy and other, which are normal for other businesses, like looking at the CVs, having this tons of interviews, this bureaucratic work and so on. I just skip it because I don't have time for that. I'm 46, and after 50, if I don't track the disease on early stages, it would be like a death penalty, you know. So and the motivation. If the person talks with me not on the language of money, if he talks with me on the language of product, result, and the benefit for himself, for his family, and humanity, he's our guy. Of course, there are people who are hiding by these nice, how you call it?
Conversation.
Visions, yep. Yeah. And in 2-3 months, they quit. But you know, the Amazon, and there are so many companies who would like to pay for the employee to go away faster than to be some kind of unuseful luggage. So by this way, I have no any kind of condolences, because he worked, he left his some kind of work, and if he's not like-minded as we are, he left. So I would say these two: the test task and the vision.
Okay, so are they committed, but don't make that the only requirement? And then do they have the right vision? Or do they have the right, I guess you'd say, results-oriented, right? Not so much about the cash today, but are they working on a project that's going to improve the world or not? And so that's their mindset that you're looking at.
Yes, regarding their skills, of course, I'm monitoring their skill set, at least which is in profile, not in the CV, in a profile, like in LinkedIn, in AngelList or whatever. And I don't care if he writes that he's a junior or he's a senior developer, because I have encountered so many cases when he says that he's a middle, but I have lots of more skilled juniors in my team than he's middle.
I find with programmers, a lot of programmers will call themselves novices that are really, really good because they don't think that they're great, but they're really great programmers. And there's a lot of guys that will say that they're expert programmers that really don't hold weight, right? So it's, Gary Vee says all the time, hiring's a guess and firing's a decision, right? Which I think you can get more precise there. What you're talking about is the smooth talkers. Sales guys are really hard to hire, right? So if you're looking for sales teams, they're slick talkers, and us kind of tech guys can get excited about a guy that talks really slick. So it's challenging. I like the test is a great way to do it, to see, you know, the gauge. And I'm betting that you have some kind of key performance indicator to see how the longevity of an employee that stays with you after they created the test versus somebody that did create the test. You kind of know based on those tests if they're going to stay for a long time, a little bit, if they're going to be great employees or substandard employees.
Well, this KPI is very simple. We're trying to make the test tasks from the real project. So if they wasted their time and wasted our time for monitoring them, for choosing them, for conversation, having a conversation with them, and we're saying frankly to them, it's a real project, the test task. So if you will make it and we will not hire you, we're going to use it. And of course, if you're going to make it and we're going to use it, there's 200% chance that you're going to get an offer, because why I should not give it to you? And this resolves all the questions, like we cannot be indecent, like we take somebody's free labor and we don't give nothing in return. In our model, we don't have a reason not to give an offer to the person who made a good task. I even give an offer to the person who doesn't make good task too. Why? Because I want to break this problem, and I need hundreds of people working on that for their own sake and for my own. The money comes on the next phase. Of course, it's for profit stuff, but the individuals, their skills, their desire to make it comes first. And it's a real project. They make a test, they get an offer, everybody's happy.
Absolutely. I'm a little nervous to bring this next topic up because we've only got about 20 minutes left before my hard stop, and we can get way into the weeds here. You've also now created your own cryptocurrency based on this whole model, and I don't want to go too deep into the technology. So what standard is your cryptocurrency on?
Yeah, the idea, during the last few months, there were lots of talks going on about Richard Hurt with his Pulse airdrop, then Vita DAO, some medicine or science-related coins were appearing, but there was 100% orientated on longevity cryptocurrency. So we decided to name it Longevity Coin with the index long, and to start developing it. We are using Binance Smart Chain Network on BEP20. We made a cryptocurrency longevity coin, which is this moment is for airdrop. So you can follow a few simple rules, tasks to sign to our channels and so on. And you will get free tokens. Then we go to the private sale, and then we go to the public sale. I think it will happen in 2022, maybe in the middle, going public. But for airdrop, it's already open right now. You can just go to our website, just press coin, and it will be forwarded to our website, longevitycoin.org. And you can just enroll there. The idea of this coin is that it is supported by our existing technology, which we talked before about this mobile application, which collects data from the wearables and gives personalized recommendations based on proprietary AI method. And we are inviting other longevity-focused and anti-aging companies who want to participate to backing up this coin. And the main reason why we developed it is to use these coins to award the patience of our users with, not patience, but patience, that they need to fill their profile and to fill their profile with some parameters manually, like I said before, because controlling your health is quite annoying thing and it's boring. So we want to give some kind of compensation for that. Even the motivation is their longer life, but not everybody understands that. So we're going to grant for the users who are downloading our application, who are completely filling the profile, who are constantly updating the values of these parameters in the profile, we're going to be awarding them with our coins. The other vertical, so this is the second vertical, the first the mobile application, this is the coin, the second one. The third vertical is a longevity scientific resort, which we're developing in Maldives. This would be the first scientifically based medical resort, which is focused on longevity with a strict face control. It's not for the honeymooners or the party goers. It's for the people who wants to live longer. And you can pay your accommodation and your health plans in this resort with the proprietary longevity coin. And the fourth vertical, which we're doing more or less non-profit advocacy for anti-aging, is we filing the petitions all over the world using UK platform Change.org. We already filed 40 petitions for fundamental anti-aging research, which should be supported by the governments. So, for example, in US, the US government, it would be a petition to the US government. So they would use 5% of their GDP that they would spend not on the military or space traveling or whatever. They're gonna spend it on anti-aging fundamental research. So that one day this research on the mouse, on the worms and other animals can smoothly go to the clinical trials for humans. Or if it not, that means that this scientific research going in the wrong direction. So to find the correct direction. So for that, there should be billions to be spent. Everybody spent billions on anything, on electromobility, on smart cities, on space traveling, on oil digging, gas delivery, whatever, but not on the thing which kills everybody one day and kills every day 115,000 people.
Absolutely.
So we want to change it. So participating in this longevity petition, you can also use this longevity coin.
Fantastic. So I will definitely share the longevity coin with my entire network, and I think that the fact that you're doing an airdrop is a phenomenal way for a lot of people to get a taste of what you're doing, learn a little bit about what you're doing, and maybe, you've only you're issuing 1 trillion coins total. Is that correct?
Yes, the idea was that today we have like 8 billion people, and we want every citizen of the world to have his piece of this coin, like 150 coins for everyone. We are realistic, and we understand that this is our projection and the reality is different.
Right.
But because lots of people say that trillion coins looks like scam and so on, but this is another idea. It's not the matter of earning money on it. It's not the matter of making it as a bubble. It's a matter of a tool, making a person to be using it for his own longevity. And by this, everybody can spend it on the longevity of others. And by this, they're gonna build this ecosystem.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for all the information, Oleg. I've had a blast. I think we've learned a lot. How would somebody get in contact with you if they wanted to reach out to either join your team or to get their hands on some of the long coins?
Well, I'm a very open person. You can find me on LinkedIn, Oleg Teterin, or you can follow my website, our company's website, inTime Digital, intime.digital. So it's Teterin at inTime Digital, or in Gmail. Now you cannot make the only numeral addresses. I was one of the first who made it. So it's very easy, 995-6434 at gmail.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today, Oleg. I know you're a busy guy and you got a lot of things going, so we appreciate your time to take out and share with our audience your story. Do you have anything to leave the audience before we go today?
Ken, thank you very much. I just want to say that there are no millionaires by the hours of life. There are lots of millionaires by the money, but
Yes.
averagely person lives less than 700,000 hours. For me, if not my technology, I would have left like 400,000 hours left. So the audience averagely would have about the same. So my appeal is to do your best to become the first millionaires by the hours of life.
Okay, so you want to live 1 million hours instead of 700,000. You're going to add that. That's your goal. That's a fantastic goal and great way to KPI it out for us business guys. Thank you so much for your time. That's it for today's show, folks. Again, if you'd like to join my text line community, it's 314-370-2871. The kind of text that I send are tips and tricks like we just learned about the long coin. I'm definitely going to be sending that text message out later this week. That's it for today. Get to work.